Right, so next we have Kim Money and the Community Connection Ngaru Trust, who I know very well from a previous life. And can I first of all say thank you very much for, agreeing to this more, sort of focused way of presenting a submission rather than having, a whole lot of people present for 5 minutes each, but basically repeating the same thing, but to have a full presentation and then inviting any others who want to contribute to the kaupapa of your submission. It'd be great. So thank you very much for doing that.
No, that's fine. We actually appreciate it too. So thank you very much for doing that for us. So I'll start officially. Good morning, Your Worship, councillors, staff and community. Today we will be presenting to you a pilot project proposed and led by Community Connection Ngaru Trust. I'd like to introduce our team here today. I have Merika Rakatawa, Trustee, Gary Tia, Director of OSAL Consultants New Zealand Limited, a consulting engineering practice with specialist expertise and experience in marine and coastal engineering, including shoreline erosion, the effects of engineering modifications to coastal and ocean processes, and involvement in the design and construction of civil engineering projects in marine environments. And beside Gary here and myself is Brooke Frew assisting us in our PowerPoint. But again, thank you, Mayor Leanne, for this time today. We really do appreciate the special circumstances. Imagine this. But first, a little history. Community Connection Ngaru Trust was formed in 2001. The name simply tells you what we like to do, connect the community. And Ngaru the Waves reflects our lifestyle and foreshore. Our first project, together with the community, was the refurbishment and earthquake strengthening of the North New Brighton War Memorial and Community Centre on the foreshore at North Beach. It took us 4 years of community consultation and engagement, local and citywide networking, lobbying community groups, councillors' annual plans, submissions, deputations, working with council staff, surveys, etc., etc. The Trust had the privilege of being involved in the design process. Here on your left, you will see the before picture, and on your right, how it looks now. This project was a partnership between community and council, so thank you very much. If we hadn't had that partnership, the building probably wouldn't be there today. We had an historical corner, Casbah on your left, and the Ozone on your right, and across the road is the Memorial Hall.
It's gone.
This is our corner now. Casbah and the Ozone were demolished after the earthquakes.
Vicky wants you to go back one so she can take a picture. Go on. Isn't it gorgeous? I love that Casbah.
You're fine. Our community needed a boost. So our promenade proposal began to complement and link our stunning coastline to our city and its recreational assets. I grew up in Sumner, right opposite Cave Rock, so I know firsthand how a community loves a promenade. The big picture, the ultimate vision. This picture here shows our extensive coastline between Spencer Park and South Shore, 19 kilometres of sand dunes. Big picture, a promenade that extends and connects all these areas. Spencer Park and related facilities, Bottle Lake Forest and Tracks, North Shore Subdivision, Thompson Park and Rafferty Domain, the new Rafferty Primary School, QE2 Development Projects, Travis Wetlands, Fairwood Hospital, New Brighton CBD, Hot Saltwater Pools Legacy Project, Avon River Cycleways, Christchurch Coastal Pathway, and the list goes on. Big picture projects usually have to start small. Therefore, we are proposing a pilot project. This map shows the area we are proposing, 900 metres between Waimari and North Beach Surf Clubs. Before I talk in more detail The reason for this strip is that it has an obvious beginning and an end. And before I talk about the proposal in more detail, here is a list of our consultation process to date, and I won't read this out. The consultation also included door knocking the houses opposite the proposed promenade site. As you can see, we had overwhelming support, 84%, 2% undecided, and 17% unable to be contacted, but we did leave information in the letterboxes with a contact detail. That's the background. This picture shows the track on top of the dunes at present, and one of the difficult access points of for anyone other than an able-bodied person. So this is what we are proposing. Imagine yourself here. This concept drawing by graphic designer Paul Kingston Smith, Chocolate Creative, shows how the promenade could possibly look. A creative recreational promenade that brings life and activity, approximately 7 to 9 metres wide, that complements its surroundings and entices the locals and the rest of the city and tourists to engage with the coastline, to enjoy not only the beachfront but the spectacular views from the promenade. The promenade has to have a surface that must be absolutely usable by the elderly, wheelchairs and pram pushers, because the existing tracks and beach are not. We have a special section of the coast as it is an accreting beach, not an eroding beach. There are a few challenges that would need to be positively worked through. Therefore, we have met with Environment Canterbury, Civil Defence and Coast Care to discuss our proposal and perceived hazards. The placement of the promenade will need to be set back enough to satisfy storm take, but still close enough for a beach experience. The height of the promenade will be determined by the appropriate authorities. However, if there is a possibility for a lower profile, we would support and encourage this. The maintenance and management. This proposal needs to aim towards reducing the maintenance and management costs of the proposed area. It is important to us that protection is maintained and strengthened where necessary, and that the environment is considered and enhanced. We have been networking and consulting with various people and organisations to seek advice on certain aspects, including how this proposal may be achieved, while taking into consideration the perceived hazards in coastal environment. For this proposal to advance, these issues must be an essential part of the overall plan. Costings and funding. As my father-in-law used to say, quality is remembered long after the price is forgotten. Having said that, we do have the preliminary cost estimate prepared by Elliott Duke Director, Davis Ogilvie Chartered Professional Engineer. Preliminary cost estimate for a 9-metre wide promenade between Waimari and North Beach Surf Club is $2.4 million. We mentioned 9 metres wide in our submission because we needed to indicate to the community that we were not talking about a small path. It has to comfortably accommodate walkers, cyclists, runners, etc. To build, the estimate is the 1.3 to the 1.5 million. The rest of the 2.4 is for landscaping and creative features. And it also includes in these figures a $60,000 fitness station. Given the transformational impact it would have, as a small community organisation, it is difficult to access resources for projects of this nature. Our trust work on the premise that money follows vision, plus a lot of hard work. Network support first, money sought later. Through our consultation process, suggestions have been made for possible sources of funding and creative ways to reduce costs. For example, community contacts, collaborations, and possibly earthquake recycled materials. So far, we have achieved our goals by working in partnership with other community-spirited people. The in-kind work that our consultants, trustees and helpers have invested to date would equate to a very significant figure. So with regards to the estimated 2.4 million, when you are discussing money, we ask you to think transformational. Which leads me to award-winning New Plymouth Promenade. This picture doesn't really do it any justice. Medikaraka and I went for a visit last week. We met New Plymouth District Let's Go project manager Carl Whittleston and New Plymouth Promenade landscape designer Richard Bain, Blue Marble landscape architect, and we had a little chat to their mayor. Now that's a WOW project, 14.2 kilometres. They keep extending it. Urban New Plymouth population is 45,000. Promenade visitors per month, 30,000. Their dynamics are different from ours, but the principles of how a promenade can impact an area and city are undeniable. The New Plymouth District Council and the people of New Plymouth are enjoying accolades, awards, health benefits as more and more people become active and enjoy their coastline. There is a real positive vibe in the city that the promenade has brought. As we carried out our community consultation and mentioned the word promenade, we were amazed at how many people referred to New Plymouth. Final page. The Christchurch City Council already endorse coastal pathways and cycleways and have contributed to them. This project is also in line with the Burwood Pegasus Community Board's Christchurch City Council Long-Term Plan 2015-25 submission, and I quote, "The Board supports the evaluation of the proposal from the North Shore Residents Association and Community Connection Ngaru Trust for a North Beach promenade on the foreshore dunes, noting that the Trust has spoken to Environment Canterbury regarding the promenade and are in ongoing discussion. The concept is similar to the Christchurch Coastal Pathway. The Board requests that the plan makes an ongoing line item to enable continuous development of this concept and to maintain existing portions of it. A sum of $200,000 per annum over the 10-year plan cycle is suggested." End of quote. Therefore, we respectfully request that the following be included in the Christchurch City Council Long-Term Plan 2015-2025. A feasibility study be undertaken and completed in the 2015-16 financial year in close collaboration partnership between Christchurch City Council, Community Connection Ngaru Trust and our existing project team. If found favourable, then funding be made available for the pilot project and construction to begin within the same financial year. Finally, we believe this pilot promenade proposal is a key to showcasing the rest of our city's other beautiful assets. This is a project that could start and be completed in one financial year. It would generate hope and be a creative, exciting project for the whole city. Our Trust has worked with you before and we would like the opportunity to do it again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There's obviously going to be lots of questions, but I want to save one for me. So, Phil, David, Glenn, Pauline.
Thank you for explaining the pilot project. I'd like to ask you about, you referred to concern about protecting the environment. We've had discussions with Environment Canterbury. I was wondering, has anyone done any sort of, or seen the preliminary studies around sort of, for example, protection of the dunes? Has that been done yet, or would that be part of the feasibility study?
that would be absolutely part of the feasibility study. It has to incorporate the environment and how it impacts the environment or enhances the environment, as we think the case will be. We do have Gary Tier. Would you like to add anything to that, Gary?
Yeah, there's been two guiding principles in the design of this, that we keep the pathway far enough back from the front of the dunes so that we don't impact on the area that provides erosion demand. You see the front of those dunes fluctuate backwards and forwards depending on in a storm sea state, sand is pulled out to create bars. When it gets better, it gets pushed back on. So there is a natural buffer capacity. We locate the walkway behind it. The other thing is the actual height of the dunes. ECAN set it at 6 metres. Now that was for possible tsunami and for one that I had great disagreement with them on, for wave run-up. But 6 metres it is.
For what? Wave run?
Wave run-up.
Run-up?
Yes. But 6 metres it is, and we have a LIDAR from the council data. There's a very good contour plot of all this. We're able to run that pathway at the 6 metre plot and higher for the whole length of the distance. So we don't compromise any of the coastal protection function or the storm demand. Now the one thing when we met ECAN, they were really positive with it. In my earlier experiences with ECAN in the 1990s, they were dead set against touching anything. You couldn't vary the height of the dune, and that's
Which
when
is
I
over 6
got
metres,
involved with
isn't
this
it?
group.
It's
first
over
off.
6 metres. They're about 8 metres now, aren't they?
Some of them are.
Yeah.
So when I first got involved with this, one
They
of the
didn't
ladies
even want
that
to
was part
reduce
of
them to
this-
6.
The resource consent
I know the resource consent is 6,
says 8
but
metres above mean high water springs, but there is a general consensus amongst ECAN and others that 6 metres is adequate.
right. Yeah. So, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was actually, I thought, trying to be helpful. Because when you look at this, it doesn't look like the dune system that we've got now, and that's because that does require to lower to the 6 metres. But I was going to ask you to what point, but you're saying the agreed level with ECAN,
6 metres.
6 metres.
Yeah.
Great.
But previously, even if you had the 6 metre, you couldn't touch an 8 metre high dune.
I know.
You weren't allowed to shift it or do anything. And there has been a complete change in the attitude at ECAN from their coastal scientists. When we discussed it, it was really encouraging.
Yeah, timing's everything. I mean, the natural hazards strategy is about to be launched by way of, discussion. So it's a beginning of a public conversation around, coastal erosion and various other bits and pieces. And I do know this is accreting part of our coastline, but as you say, you've got to give it up on a storm event, and it can come backwards and forwards. So, but I mean, I'm hearing extremely positive message from you that the discussions with ECAN are supportive. Because I was going to say, if we were going to support the feasibility study, we would have to include ECAN and Ngāi Tahu in that mix of collaborationists, as it were, on the or cooperating parties. Yeah. Sorry, Phil. You've
Yeah, well, clearly the feasibility study would be important to you too.
But it would be core critical to have ECAN at the table.
Oh,
yeah.
Absolutely.
And Ngāi Tahu. Yeah.
Absolutely.
David.
Thank you. Firstly, I just want to congratulate the team for a great presentation and acknowledge the work that the Trust has done in the North Beach area over a number of years. The transformation of the hall at North Beach is in no small measure due to the efforts of the team at the end of the table. I'm particularly gratified for the work they've done, and particularly the visit to New Plymouth last week. And I wonder, and I might add, personal expense. I wonder if the team could elaborate on any social and economic benefit that the New Plymouth Council has derived from the coastal pathway there.
We did ask them that question, and at present, Carl said that they're getting that documentation done at the moment, and I think they're using a consultation company down here in Christchurch. So when we were there, that information wasn't available, but the statistics are they do have one of those little scanners on the foreshore, which counts the people that go on it, and so that's why they knew there was 30,000 there. But we just walked the township that day, and as we talked to shopkeepers and that, they all talk about it. And the one thing that they did happen to say that came through, we did actually ask the designer and Carl, in hindsight, when you look back about your promenade, what would you do differently? What are the negative things? And they said in some areas, because theirs is 7 metres wide, they said in some areas it's 2.5 and it's too narrow. They said they'd make it wider. The 7 was definitely like the minimal width, and the people on the street confirmed the same thing.
Thank you.
Yep. Glenn.
Thank you, Kim and team. Inspiring stuff, and you've got a good track record there. Partnership with council on the actual delivery of a project too. My question's around a wider strategy, because it strikes me that we've got some really good initiatives coming up from the east with the Legacy project as well, and hopefully we'll get to the point of a feasibility study there too. Do you see this as part of a wider strategy, so it's not just a one project?
Absolutely, we do.
Yep.
We absolutely see that it complements. As a wise woman once said to me, it's not instead of, it's as well as. So, be like a mother trying to pick between two children, you just can't, you just want them both. So,
Sophie's choice, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Vicky. Oh, sorry, Pauline. I've crossed you out because you were next, and Pauline.
Really? Okay. Well, actually, I was going to ask a similar question to Phil about the dunes and the height, so you've answered that. But the feasibility study, do you have any idea of the cost of that might be?
I don't really, but we did very quickly just sort of talk to Carl in a very casual conversation, and it was around the $40,000 mark. But I mean, that was just a very casual conversation, and of course, until you know the content of what your feasibility study is going to be, to put a figure on that is a little bit difficult just at this stage.
And did I hear that you're requesting that the council fund that?
Yes.
In the first instance? Right, and that would be in the 15-16 year, you're requesting that?
Yes.
Thank you, and I'd like to congratulate you for all the work you're doing as well.
Vicky.
I just want to say thank you for such an amazing amount of work and for what you are doing. It's fantastic to see ideas come up from the community. So well presented. It's stunning. I just want to know if you are aware of conservation volunteers who actually want to locate their international headquarters in possibly in Brighton, and whether you're aware of their work and would you like an introduction to them.
We certainly would do. That
Cool.
would be
Just
fantastic.
leave us your email and I'll do that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Raf and then Paul.
Yeah, hi, just a quick one. So just how long is the promenade again?
The pilot, 900 metres.
So it's
The strip that we're talking about is
So
between the Waimaru Surf Club and the North Beach Surf Club, or the Beach Cafe, if you happen to know that, on Beach Road, and the War Memorial Hall. It's 900 metres.
And could you extend this all the way along the beach?
Yeah. So go back to your previous slide to show the ultimate. Yeah.
It could domino either way, and it could actually take on various forms. I mean, if South Brighton or areas down there wanted a perhaps a slightly different look, well, I mean, this is all just conceptual. But the consultation that we've had with New Brighton is that they're very keen to see this continue all the way down there.
What's the distance to Spencer Park to South Shore?
Well, there's 19 kilometres of sand dunes.
19,
I suppose that would
right,
be
okay.
So from where you're proposing, how far is it down to the pier?
about a kilometre.
So another kilometre from the end of... And would you say it's roughly $2 million a kilometre, or is that a...
About 2.4, including the landscaping and all the lovely features, they're saying yes, 2.4. That's the preliminary. So 4.5, 5 for 2Ks.
Thank you.
Paul?
Thank you very much. That was a great presentation. In my view, the Christchurch has forgotten that it's actually a beachside city. And my question would be, do you think that this promenade would encourage the wider Christchurch to actually visit their beach that they have right on their doorstep?
Well, I think from the figures from New Plymouth, only being an urban city or area of 45,000, yet they have 30,000 visitors on the promenade, says a lot. I also think it's common knowledge, as we all know, that promenades all around the world everybody loves them. So I really do think that this also it just enhances it and connects and networks with all those that are there. They're not just going to come to ours and walk ours, they'll also want to link with the Sumner and all those other walks that are around.
So essentially this is a metropolitan facility, so it's for
absolutely. The
great for
beach
Christchurch.
is a metropolitan beach, so would be the promenade. Thank you.
Yanni?
If you went through that list quite quickly, but have you talked to Deirdre Hart from the university around the tsunami risk? Because I know that there's been a lot of concern. I still vividly remember after the Boxing Day tsunamis, there was a move before that to get rid of the sand dunes, and then basically people saw what happened overseas and probably retreated from that. But I know that we've had some new tsunami risk modelling done, and I just wondered whether that's been taken into account with your proposal.
To address your first question, no, we haven't actually spoken to her. We do rely on Gary, and we also have had a talk with Justin Cope at Environment Canterbury. Right. So they have given us data to Gary. Civil defence records are there to be seen, but it was also part of the process. We haven't have a full process. We're a small community group organisation, so we've done as much as we can to this point today.
And I mean, I just applaud the work you've done previously, and that community centre is a really, really fantastic example.
But what you've suggested is certainly always part of the and it would have to be addressed in a feasibility study.
Yeah.
Just 6 metres is the level at the moment, and I think before we worry about adjusting that, we have to fix the holes in the system at North Beach and New Brighton. I find the whole thing ridiculous when we talk about it. That if we really have a tsunami, it just pours straight through the gaps.
Yeah, and that's what I was really interested in, because I know that we haven't really had a full briefing about that new tsunami risk, both near source and long source. But I think it is important to keep that in the context of what you're proposing, so that we just make sure that the public don't get alarmed unnecessarily.
The information that we've had to date, simply just put, is that a fast tsunami would be, you've got approximately 12 to 14 hours to prepare the community for evacuation. The issue is the evacuation. And then a near tsunami, apparently the percentage is virtually a 0% that we would get a near tsunami, but having said that, that was a fairly low percentage.
Yeah, and near tsunami, the height would not be as high. I mean, we're talking a metre perhaps, potentially. Tim?
Just a bit closer to home, at Caroline Bay, the promenade's there, absolutely lovely, and it's got full access for disabled, elderly, the whole lot, which is wonderful. I'm just saying, probably along the lines of maybe what Ref was, his brain ticking over, the distance between the pier and North Beach would be absolutely fantastic with regards to, we've got the pier, we've got visitors going there, and to spread that along would be absolutely wonderful. Have you guys thought of that as well? Because, I mean, we live with tsunamis, we live with earthquake risks, and we've just got to make the most of the assets we've got. And to be quite honest, Timaru don't care. They're building and doing it. They do. They're living with what they've got, and they make Caroline Bay a fantastic place to be. And yet we tend to forget our beach.
Exactly right. No, you're absolutely right. As I started off, this is about a big picture. This is actually our city. So anything that happens in Sumner, anything that happens in Brighton, it's a win for all of us.
Absolutely.
So that's how we see it. Definitely, you've captured it. And also when it came to New Plymouth, we did talk about the level of risk and how they approached that, and they said that the engineers involved set certain levels for certain risks, and then the council chose one of those and went with that.
Do they have a dune system at all on their promenade?
They have one section of dune system that they did have to go through.
Yeah.
We actually cycled that 14.2 kilometres there and back, but the bikes were electric. It's okay.
Well, there's a nice little business too.
Yeah.
Can you go back to the picture? Because the question I want to ask is what is it made of? So, is it wood all the way through?
No, it's not wood all the way through. We're just really wanting to emphasise the fact for the wheelchairs and the prams and the elderly, anything uneven is just not doable for them. So We've had sections of things to make it, because we have said creative. So there's a licence there. This is just conceptual, so a lot of things can happen, but it does have to be a surface. I mean, the people that construct it, there's lots of variants. It could be concrete, it could be asphalt, it could be exposed aggregate. There's lots of ways. We just wanted to show
I just
that
think that the previous submission talked about the concrete all through the river and town, and putting concrete through our dune system probably wouldn't necessarily be what people would expect. I think people are expecting a wooden promenade.
I think, well, it's not what we've had. That's not what we've been heard through our submissions for the 682 people that did submit to this. Having said that, whatever the surface is needs to blend in so that it is just not noticeable. It just really enhances and feels like it is part of the environment. That's really important to us. So to answer that question, it's really about let's get those people that know how to construct something like that together and work that out. But
you wouldn't rule that out, because I mean, one of the submissions that we did get was actually specifically about a wooden promenade. So and it wasn't associated with this one, obviously, but there were also others that did refer back to your submission that assumed it was wooden.
Right.
So yeah, but what you're saying is the feasibility could open up to that possibility as well.
Yes.
All right, that's good. Well, that's probably given us enough to be getting on with, and
Thank you very much.
I think with that feedback, wanting ECAN and Ngāi Tahu at the table, that would be certainly my view about where we would have to go with this. I don't know whether we would be in a position to put something on budget before doing a feasibility study, but if we were to put the feasibility study on budget, then we would be able to look at the next step in the provided that the feasibility study produced the right result.
Yes.
We would be able to look at it in our annual planning processes. We've been making it clear to people who've come through that this is going to be an iterative process. We've got a base case for our long-term plan, and there's still a long way for us to go in terms of getting the numbers right.
Thank you. We respect that. Thank you.
Okay.
Can I just say one thing?
Yes.
We have started the process with Ngai Tuahuriri, with Ngāi Tahu. In 2013 we saw Rakihia Tau, and of course he's not with us anymore. So we've continued the process, and we're in the process of having a meeting with Te Runanga or Tuahuriri.
Great.
So we have started that process.
Brilliant. That's
Thank you.
perfect. Thank you. Cheers.
We do have booklets here for you all, if you would.
Great. Yes.
All right.
Please, somebody will come and collect those off you and to pass them round. I don't know, there's nobody else from your group that wanted to speak on the subject?
There is a few people here is that okay to have?
Yeah, no, they can come to the table.
Great.
Yep.
Thank you.
If they could all come up together, that would be great. It's really good, isn't it? Yeah, no, that's okay. But
How are you? Thank you for hearing the submission. Just personally, I grew up in Nelson, so it's a real beach town, and had an accident when I was 19 and kind of cut that off. In Nelson, you could kind of wheel along the Rocks Road there if you've been to Nelson. But I can see this has been a great asset to Christchurch, the city. For myself, I'd use it. I've got recently married with 3 stepkids, so it'd be great to be able to take them to the beach and wheel along and be involved. At the moment, the beach is inaccessible. I know there's a little walkway onto the beach at Sumner, and there's a promenade in Scarborough, which is great. We've been out there quite a few times. And I know Christchurch the council's committed to making the city accessible. I know the late Graham Condon, he was a real advocate, and I'm sure he would love this concept. So, yeah, I'm full support of it. So thank you.
thank you.
Hello, as you know, I'm Brooke. So I'm in full support of this promenade. I'm also a lifetime resident of North Beach, and I'm also a keen surfer, my husband and I, and so just over the years that I've been there, I've been able to observe how often the beach is used, especially in the winter months. So I think that's quite a good point to bear in mind, that it wouldn't just be a summer use thing. Often there's lovely days in the morning, all day in fact in winter, where people can use this, and so I think it would be a great asset all year round, and also at different times of the day. So sometimes the beach isn't always that's safe to access in the evening. There's people lurking around in the different areas, and so I just think it would be a much more open and safer place to use. Also a safer access ways, just like Steve's talked about here, because the rungs that are currently there are quite dangerous and you have to walk very carefully around them and not down them. So yes, we are in full support. We think it would be a really a life-giving project to our area and also to our city. And we do fully support the lowering of the dunes.
Great.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bri Thompson, and I'm a mum of a resident. Well, I'm a resident in North Beach and also a mum. And as you can see, we didn't bring our babies just to annoy everybody, but the point was that it's quite hard walking along the current sand dunes at the moment. Like, it's really narrow and we can't walk along there. It's not, like Brooke said, it's not always easy to get down the current steep things. And so, yeah, we really support the wide, hard surface so we can, push our prams and let our, as they grow up, get our kids to learn get on their trikes, and so we're really supportive of it, and also lowering the sand dunes. We would be keen for that too, because then we can see the ocean, which is great. Thank you.
My name's Amy Redpath. I'm also a Brighton resident and grew up in Brighton, and that's why basically we want it lowered, and we want to be able to see our boys so they don't get up to mischief around the corner. No, I'm just kidding, but it would be helpful. I just think this is such a wonderful opportunity to do something positive for a relatively low amount of money, and for our friends that come and visit as well with their prams. They don't often know the tides. I don't know if that's been out, so I'm not sure if that's been talked about, but people turn up, and at the moment, during the winter as well, the tides come right up to the dune, so you actually can't walk along at all with the prams. So this provides an opportunity for people to come and enjoy views and walking along there any time of the day. And we're just so excited about the prospect of this happening and the future that it would, and the positivity that it would create for something in our area, so that people can enjoy it. Yeah, thanks for hearing from us today.
Great. Thanks. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just going to thank you for coming in. I really appreciate that you've got this big proposal, and that will take some time, although it sounds like it'd be great to do it sooner rather than later. But I just wondered, because you've talked about the access issues, is there anything in the short term that we could do to improve disability access for prams or young families?
Prams?
I'm living just opposite North Brighton Surf Club, so I can get through on the concrete, but there's often so much debris to get through, and then to get down has to be a low tide to be able to walk along and push the pram along the beach as well. I just can't do it on the top, and we've got a state-of-the-art mountain buggy, and it just can't handle going along the dunes.
These, I don't know if you've seen, but these are what it's like at the moment. So it's got lots of gaps. And as you can see, we're carrying a mountain buggy down. So it's,
They do, and you just worry about getting your ankle underneath as well.
I think that some of those ones are being quite polite. There are some along the coastline you would almost need to be a mountain goat to climb up and over.
That's right.
So short term, to answer the question, something. I'm not sure.
Yep.
I mean, the pier is great. I go out there with the kids and we'll fish off the end, but having something all along the beach is great. On a sunny day when it's a bit rough and you feel the salt in your face. It's to be able to walk along would just be amazing, to wheel along for me. In the short term, not really as far as a wheelchair goes. It's a great prospect.
Phil had a question as well.
Can I just ask you, you've a couple of you referred to lowering of the dunes to achieve the pathway. And I'm just wondering, in terms of when we look at the pre-feasibility study, of course, we'll have to be across the science too. We're getting information about that, as the Mayor indicated. But I'm just, and one of those people is Deirdre Hart from the university, who I think Yanni referred to. But I'm just wondering if any of you might know any young geography students or engineering students who might be studying, say, coastal science, or if there might be people in your wider community who might be doing that, and so that in fact they can be part of the conversation in terms of how we get there if possible.
I think that's definitely where Gary Tier comes in here, our coastal engineer expert. We rely on that a lot.
Right.
So
So in addition to that expert advice, a lot of the students will be looking at this issue really hard, and I'm just wondering if there might be some other. So we have the different studies, if you like, joined up for us at some stage. It was just whether, in fact, there might be some young students in the wider Brighton community.
We can look into it. I don't know personally any at the moment,
okay.
But yeah.
I think the point that Phil's making, I think the point that Phil's making is that, I mean, when this was first raised, when I was the MP for the area, I knew nothing about what sand dunes did. So I didn't know anything about dune systems. So I went out to the university and did Geography 101 on dune systems, I'm just joking. I went and had a chat to a professor on that. And that's when I learned to understand that it's the volume of sand that's available to be given up in a storm event that is an issue. And there we were talking about height, and I was going, hey, well, that's great, because that means the volume of sand, you just make them flatter and wider. But the trouble is Marine Parade. Marine Parade sort of kind of is a hard edge to where you can move dunes back to, and that's the image that you had on there looks so wide. But I'm in favour of a feasibility study, but I hope that width is really what we're talking about, without encroaching on the road. And I don't know how we hard end the road, or do we? In the Coast Keel, one of the plans 20 years ago, it is documented in there that the sand dune width on our section was 15 metres wide. When we met with Coast Care the other week, they told us that the sand dunes in that section are now approximately 80 metres wide. Right. They are advancing, growing towards the sea, and that's why we don't have a beach at high tide to walk on now, because they've grown forward 30 metres. They used to be in line with the little rock wall at the North Beach Surf Club, but now they're about 25 metres forward of that. So, and also on the other side, on the road side, because over the years, as it's been allowed to sort of fall down the sand, and while they've been tying it down, we've got bus stops under those sand dunes. And at one point, the white line in the road was moved towards the houses just to accommodate it, and then there were bollards put in. So now when you're driving down Marine Parade and you want to turn into your house opposite a bollard, everything behind you banks up. But what works very well is when the Effingham Street cut was done in about approximately 1991-92. They claimed back some of it. They put in a retaining wall. That's where the car parks are, and that just works really, really well. Right. Whereas the other areas, create the high maintenance. But you wouldn't want a retaining wall all along that Marine Parade. The emphasis is creative. So, when the design or look of the is done, then I'm sure there's ways around these days of making whatever is necessary looking really good. Yeah. All right. So, all right. Well, we know what we're going to be considering. So, thank you very much, and thank the community too for so much support to the people that have come and fronted up. And so, do pass that back. You've got a large number of people obviously supporting this, and much appreciated. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Right.